In this video, we are going to use a 2-node camera inside After Effects. Now, I have created a file for you guys to see what the 2-node camera looks like inside our composition. So let me just hit my spacebar on the keyboard to play the scene for you. If you notice, our composition is moving in a 3D space. You might be wondering what a 3D space is. A 3D space is composed of an X, Y, and Z axis. So if I open my layer 1, which is the camera 2 node, we will have an X, Y, Z rotation. Unlike when I open a different layer, it will only have a X and Y axis. If you also notice, our position has an additional Z axis. Unlike the position in this layer, it only has X and Y axis. So that is what I'm talking about. So let me just delete this. When working on a 2-node camera, it is advisable that we have 2 viewports. To have 2 views, let's just go to one view, and then let's select a new layout, select the 2 views horizontal, and there we have it. We have 2 views on our viewport. If you notice this blue thingy on the corner, it means this is the active camera. And when we select on the other side, it means that is the current camera that we are working on. And we can see some movements. If we want to change the custom view one, we can just go here and go to front or top left or bottom, so whatever you want. But for me, I'll just go to my custom view one. So let's get started. First, let me delete this camera node 2. Let me change this 3 or 4 into a non-3D layer. So now what we have right now is a flat or a 2D space. Let me make this into one view. To create a 2-node camera inside our working panel, let's just right click here and then go to new, then go to camera and select 2-node camera. So let's rename this 2-node camera. Hit OK. And then to have a better understanding of the difference of the 2-node camera and the 1-node camera, let me create another one. So let me go to here, new camera, and then select my 1-node camera and then name this 1-node camera and hit OK. Now we have both. We are doing this for comparison purposes. So let's go again to my 2-view horizontal, and when we open this, when we open our transform, you will notice the difference. The 1-node camera only has a position, while the 2-node camera has a position and a point of interest. Let me change the color of this to have some distinction between the two. Turn this green, and now let me move the position of the 1-node camera. See and observe what is happening. So I'm moving it X-axis, the Y-axis, I'm moving in the Z-axis. So the entire camera is moving. Now let's go to our 2-node camera. Let me hide this, open the layer 2, then go to my position, and then let's move the X and Y and Z axis. If I move this, see that? It's like the position is glued to the point of interest of the 2-node axis. Moving on, so let me delete the 1-node camera so we can proceed to our 2-node camera. Now that we have our 2-node camera, all we have to do is take a look on our scene. So let's enable all of this, and we can see it in the active camera. Let's see if we can see it inside the custom view. Let me zoom in. So while I'm scrubbing inside the timeline, I cannot see my layers 2, 3, 4, and 5. I only see the particle and that's it. For us to be able to see the layers 2, 3, 4, 5, we have to create this into a 3D layers. So in order to do that, let's go here. It says 3D layer. So I selected my layer 2, hold down shift, then select until layer 5, and it selects everything automatically. Now let's go to 3D layer, enable all of them, and there we have it. We can see all of the layers inside our custom view 1. So always remember to enable the 3D layer of your working files in order to see them inside the camera node. Now for the animation part. I'll just make a very simple movement for us to see what the camera node looks like. I'll just make a very simple animation movement for this scene. So let me go to my position, and then let me go to frame, let's say 3 seconds. Then let me move my camera. If you notice, while I'm scrubbing inside the position, look at the active camera and it changes angle. Let me move on the z-axis. Then a bit here. There. And there we have it. We have animated our camera node 2 and made it look like it is moving in a 3D space. But this one seems a little bit subtle, so let's make it, let us tweak it a bit more, make it a bit slanted. There. Move the y-axis, and we can also use the XYZ rotation and also the orientation if you want, but we would lose track, or we would lose sight of our scene. So it's up to the user how you want it to look like or be animated. And that's it. That is how we use a 2-node camera on our scene. Of course, you can use different images or use a 2-node camera on different situations on your composition. You guys also might be wondering how I did the background. So let me just include that in our tutorial. Let me just lock all of these layers so we won't accidentally touch or edit them. My layer 7 or background is composed of different effects. So let's turn it off and let's see what it looks like. So it's just a blue color, and I inserted lumetri for the vignette. If you notice the black color that is surrounding our background, that is the vignette. So if I turn this into 0, we will lose the vignette there. So let me return that again to 0.3, and there we have the vignette. And then I use hue and saturation, tweak a bit of the lightness of our scene. Now if we change this, it turns to a bit of black, and then this a bit of a more touch of white. We can also change the color by using this, but I don't want that. And lastly, I use the CC light sweep. If you guys are wondering where we can find the light sweep, we can just go here, or we can go inside effect, and I think it is somewhere in a simulation, I think. Nope. In the generate. Yes. So it's inside the generate, and there's the CC light sweep. What this does is, if I disable this, see that like a ray of sharp light that passed through our background. That's the light sweep. We can also have the shape of it into linear, smooth, or a very sharp line. If you just notice the difference of the light, the gradient light between this, then you'll have a better view of the light sweep on your computer. You can try it, but be careful because it can be memory consuming. So make sure that you save your file every 5 minutes in case it crashes. For the particle, I created a adjustment layer. So I selected my layer 1 or adjustment layer, and then go to effect, go to simulation, and then select the CC particle world. The default look of the particle world is like this, but do not worry. Let's just have a fast walkthrough on how you guys can control this. What the birth rate does is how many particles do you want to show inside your scene. So if I increase this, the particles thicken. It means it increases the birth rate. There's so many particles coming out in a certain frame. So each frame releases many particles. So let me reduce that and create this to 2. The longevity is the life of our particle. Now if we reduce the longevity into, let's say, point something, and I play this, see that the particle dies and we no longer see them. But if I increase the longevity into, let's say, 1, see that the particles are seen in a longer time. Now let's go to physics. The velocity is the speed, the gravity itself is how heavy or how light the particle you want it to be. For me, I'll just make this 0, this 0, I'll make the velocity also 0. Now there's nothing happening if you play it, but let me change the gravity into 0.005. So now what? Now what we'll do is we'll go to the producer. So the producer, what it does is we can stretch the particle in the area. So let's do this. I'll increase the radius. So you guys can do this too, you know. Increase the radius. There we have it. Let me close it again. Then let's go to particle. And when we sweep this, see that it's like a vortex. But the particles are very small. It's like a dust. So let's change the particle shape into, or the particle type into, let's say, a shaded sphere. And let me change the color of it by going to the birth color, of course. And let me change this, or maybe I won't change it anymore. We can change the animation of the particle by going to physics again. So remember that physics is about the movement of the particle. Now let's play our scene and see what it looks like. And it is twirling. So I think I'll just settle for this one and put this beneath. And let's see what it looks like. Enable this and see what's happening now. So I won't be using this one anymore. I'll use this one instead because it's more pretty. And that's it. That is how we use the 2-node camera on our scene. We have also used different effects in our composition. Now guys, it's up to you how you would like to explore and modify the particle effects that you have seen in this video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.